you're wondering what's the fastest way to get seen in 2021, I know the answer. It's TikTok. Hey guys, my name is Alec Cuenca or at Small Talk Podcast, the man behind daily motivation on TikTok. Whether you're a brand or a business wanting to expand their reach, you gotta be on TikTok. However, there are still a lot of people that doesn't know how to use this platform properly. This is why I will be conducting a live workshop where I will teach you how I gained 500,000 followers in just 9 months. This workshop will walk you through every step of creating and growing your TikTok. I will teach you how to shoot your videos properly, how to edit them, how to add text, music, and effects on your videos. More importantly, I will teach you how to spot trends and make your videos go viral in the fastest way possible. I'm inviting you to join me in this 2-day live workshop exclusively with Esme Philippines. We only have limited slots available, so make sure that you register right now. Click the links below if you want to learn more. See you there.
Hi, I'm Carlon Hosol Matubato. A senior artist teacher from PETA, I'm an actor, dancer, and choreographer. Core and More Online is a dance fitness program that engages core and more through dance techniques and creative movements. The class is creatively designed for people with or without prior dance experience. It is also open for people in all shapes and sizes. Again, I'm Carlon Hosol Matubato and I'm inviting you all to join me on this online course of Esme Philippines Core and More Online.
If there's anything I learned in my 5 decades as a screenwriter, playwright, and novelist, it is that stories have the power to inform, persuade, and inspire people. Ang pinakamagandang skill na mahahasa mo bilang isang manunulat ay ang abilidad na alamin kung paano tatago sa puso't isipan ng mga tao ang iyong nilikhang istorya. But not everyone can do this easily. Madalas, nahihirapan tayong iparating ang ating damdamin sa lahat ng aspekto ng ating buhay, sa eskwelahan, sa trabaho, sa ating mga relasyon. This is why knowing how to sell your story in just the right way to best send your message is a crucial skill. Maging sino ka man o saan ka man ngayon, we all need to discover this capability of connecting with people. Storytelling and story selling are timeless assets that you can always apply in your daily lives. Which is why my live learning series, Story Selling, Create Compelling Stories that Captivate Customers, will teach you the art of making winning stories. In this workshop, you will learn how to create empowering and persuasive narratives, pitches, and stories for business, marketing, branding, PR, and many more, as well as develop valuable communication skills you can use in your everyday life. Ano pang hinihintay mo? Reserve your seat by clicking the link below.
you're wondering what's the fastest way to get seen on 2021, I know the answer. It's TikTok. Hey guys, my name is Alec Cuenca or at Small Talk Podcast, the man behind daily motivation on TikTok. Whether you're a brand or a business wanting to expand their reach, you gotta be on TikTok. However, there are still a lot of people that doesn't know how to use this platform properly. This is why I will be conducting a live workshop where I will teach you how I gained 500,000 followers in just 9 months. This workshop will walk you through every step of creating and growing your TikTok. I will teach you how to shoot your videos properly, how to edit them, how to add text, music, and effects on your videos. More importantly, I will teach you how to spot trends and make your videos go viral in the fastest way possible. I'm inviting you to join me in this 2-day live workshop exclusively with Esme Philippines. We only have limited slots available, so make sure that you register right now. Click the links below if you want to learn more. See you there.
coming. We are all up in our eyes, we are all up in our heart, we are all up in our mind, under the same sky. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we're one in struggle. Let's raise our dream together. We can, we are young together. Hey, yeah, hey, it's time to get up. Hold your hand, feel somebody. Time to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great. Hey, not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we're one in struggle. Let's reach our dream together. We can, we are young together. Hey, it's time to get up. Hold your hand, feel somebody. Time to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great. We are the winner generation. Reach as high as you can. Hold as much as you can. Finish beautiful as you can. Breathe the best into the Good afternoon, everyone. I am Isabel Veracruz, and I will be your host for today's webinar. But before we begin, if any of you have any questions regarding the discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by entering it in the comments section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and I'll be here to relay them to our guest speaker. Welcome to the live webinar series of ESME Philippines, an e-learning marketplace for Filipinos professionals, where one can develop relevant and in-demand skills through master classes in different fields of learning. If you want to learn more about us, feel free to visit our page at www.esme.ph. For those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, feel free to share the link to the stream to people who you think will be interested in today's topic. This webinar is in partnership with the ASEAN Youth Organization, an ASEAN-approved nonprofit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young people in Southeast Asia. This webinar is also brought to you by the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. Again, if you're just entering now, Just type down in the comment section below if you have any questions regarding the discussion. So, what is our topic for today? Our topic for today is all about adulting, a word that sounds small but actually is a big word in both personal and social aspects. It is personal for millennials because of the responsibilities they need to face every day. On the other hand, it is social because of the expectations society puts on the present generation's shoulder. It is no wonder that adulting has a wide range of meanings online and controversial innuendos in social media. Adulting is said to be meeting the mundane demands of independent and professional living through the practice of behaving in a way of a responsible adult. Sounds true and convincing, right? On the other hand, the surge of the millennial social media paved the way for adulting to be a statement and a cry for recognition. Thus, hashtag adulting. In a bird's eye view, we can say that human experience, problem solving, success, learning, and personal growth became the key to the evolution of adulting. It may just be a word, but it defined a generation. They want the millennials generation, as they say, is a questioning generation. They want to feel secure about the path they are taking in life and not just what the older generation, aka the baby boomers and Gen X, tell them. The millennials want challenges, and what better way to do it than by adulting, which is what our speaker will talk about today. Again, if you're just entering the live webinar series now, just type down in the comment section if you have any reactions, feedback, or questions. Our speaker was a success in the Atlanta construction industry for decades before he moved his family here in the Philippines in 2014, when he was just 37 years old. He is now the president and co-founder of Valhalla, which is a Cebu, Philippines-based company, and the part-time faculty and mentor for the MBA program at Southwestern University in Cebu as well. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Valhalla, a software answering business that turns customers' ideas into reality through web development. He has expertise in cybersecurity and is also a consultant for enterprise clients in both Western and Asian markets. Furthermore, he is an investor, shareholder, board member, and advisor for education, HR and recruitment industries, and an international workshop speaker on leadership and personal mastery. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome our speaker, Eli Harrell.
Hi, Isabel. Thank you so much for that. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that introduction. That was great. And also you just taught me something about the word adulting some things I hadn't heard yet, but I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for inviting me to speak today to Esme, and I'm really happy to be here. So to all of you out there listening, again, my name is Eli, and let me share my screen. Let's see here. Okay. Are we live? Can you see it okay now? Okay, there we go. So I chose this theme because I've heard this word used quite a bit. And again, please interact. Love to have questions. At the end of this hour, we'll take a few minutes, and I would really, more than any of the things that I might have in mind to say today, I would love to hear what you guys are thinking and what you guys are feeling about what I'm saying. And if at the end we can have some of those questions and I can respond to them, it would be more enjoyable for me if you share your thoughts. So thank you for that. Okay, so the word adulting, right? Fair enough, I'm not technically millennial and I'm not technically Gen Z, obviously, but I guess I'm Gen X. And I'm definitely not here to tell anyone what they should be doing or how you should be thinking about this word. And I'm not really serious about it being a bad word, but I do notice that this word is being used, I think, a lot of times to talk about the feeling that we get. And I remember this feeling when I was in my early 20s, where I sort of just woke up one day and I just realized one day that, wow, there's nobody here to tell me what to do anymore, or I'm just kind of alone in this chaotic world, and it's all up to me. And I think sometimes that can surprise us, because the way we go through school and our families, we've got our parents there kind of telling us what they see as the right way to go, and then they put us in school, and so we follow this path for all these years, and then perhaps we get to the point where we get a diploma or a degree, and all of a sudden we're just there, maybe a little bit surprised that it's all on our shoulders, and we're feeling kind of freaked out, or it just feels like a lot of burden, and we might be kind of apprehensive about how much responsibility that we have, and how much we just all of a sudden have to do and figure out and learn and manage and just cope with, right? So, but before we get into any of my thoughts on this, like what are we really using this word to mean? And thank you to Isabel for giving me all that insight into what this word means, because there were some things she said that I hadn't really thought of before. So there definitely are some positive, I heard positive connotations to this word in the description that Isabel gave us. However, if I'm not mistaken, the way I'm hearing this word being used most of the time, and you guys tell me in the comments if you think you agree or not, but typically the way I'm hearing this word used is it's a bit of a it's a word where we're sort of saying, I got to get back to adulting. It's like it's Monday, and or you're basically saying that the burdens of life are upon me. I must go do these things because it's adulting time, And so the picture that I chose for this slide, these two fists going against each other. Think of one fist is you and your energy, and the other fist is like the reality of the universe. And I think we're using this word a bit to sort of just resist what is. And we're saying, I don't like this reality. It's like I'm kind of just emotionally resisting this because I don't like it, because it feels too hard, or I'm not prepared for it, or it just feels like a bunch of work, and maybe it's scary, or it just feels like overwhelming. And you guys agree? Is that kind of how you hear the word being used? It's like, I can't wait till it's Friday because I'm so tired of adulting, or whatever it is, right? So it's like represents the burden of being an adult in this planet, and realizing that you as an individual are kind of, to some degree, it feels like we're alone in that we have to take care of our own lives, and there's nobody here to there's no longer anyone here to sort of walk around with us and protect us or tell us what to do, right? Or to guide us as we take our steps through the world. But my question is the way we're using this word actually serving us? And what I mean by that is it helping us to use it in this way, right? So, again, why are we using it in this way? Well, because surprises and the unknown, and like we didn't really feel fully prepared for this, and now boom, it's all upon us. And it's I remember that feeling I don't think that feeling went away for many, many, many years. I would say maybe not for 15 to 20 years did that feeling really start to go away, where I felt like I was maybe gaining some mastery over the human experience on this planet. That's a long time to feel like resistance to what you have to do, right? So I guess my first proposal to you in this talk would be maybe just think about the way the word is being used, and do you think it's serving you to be in resistance to what is, to basically say, I don't like the way things are. And I would argue that I don't think this really does serve us. I think it helps us a lot more when we just realize what is, and we accept it more quickly and more fully, and then we can move forward to create the life we want. Okay. So again, reality is that feels like there's no more path laid out in front of you. And that's actually a good thing. I'll tell you why I think that. All right. So I think that one of the most exciting opportunities we have on the planet is to take ownership of our own lives. But nobody really told us that we need to become our own health coach, nutritionist, psychologist, relationship coach, boss or career coach, or teacher or trainer, right? It's like all of a sudden you're just there in the world, and you don't have any of these people, and you probably can't afford them yet, and you just don't know what to do, right? But you actually have to live an amazing life. You've actually got to kind of turn yourself into somewhat of your own health coach. You've got to learn how to take care of your own body and mind and energy, and you've got to learn how to eat well. If you want to have an amazing life, you really actually have to learn these things, and you got to learn how to deal with your own emotions and thoughts, and to become your own kind of therapist. And you got to learn how to get good at relationships, not just romantic ones, but all relationships. And you got to learn how to potentially navigate the work environment, whether that's a career or maybe someday a business. And I really hope you turn into your own teacher. So that's one of the main things I'm going to talk about. All right. So here's something I want to talk about is the formula for a happy life. Okay, I don't know how many of you have seen this, but this is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so we have like we need this baseline of physiological, like obviously, we need to eat, etc. And then we need safety. So we need a shelter. We need to make sure that we're not physically in danger. And then we need family and connection. We need friends and family. There's things we need in life, right? But once the majority of us have these things, generally speaking, okay, right? Hopefully. And obviously there are people on the planet that don't have all these things, and we need to see how we can help those people. But presuming that you're kind of okay in those other areas, you've got most of those taken care of. If you want to take your life to the next level, what you really need is to learn how to start feeling amazing about yourself. You need to feel esteem. And esteem is when you start gaining confidence, you start having achievement, not really just start, but you continue. And so one thing I've noticed in my life that I really deeply believe is that humans, in order to continue along the path of happiness or fulfillment, or to live in a fulfilled life, once you have these bottom three kind of mostly in place, that you really need to feel a sense of progress. Nobody likes to evaluate their lives and feel like you're not growing, or it's not getting better. If your life feels flat or stagnant, or maybe even going downhill, it's kind of depressing. And so what we really need to be able to learn how to do is create and sustain some kind of momentum of progress, right? All right, so you need a feeling of progress. Well, one thought I would ask you is, how are you measuring that progress? Because one of the ways that I used to measure progress all the time is I would kind of evaluate my life. I would stop and take stock of where I'm at. And I had these dreams, and I had where I thought I should be by then. But I would often look at my life and feel like I wasn't anywhere near the goals that I had imagined for myself, or the dreams that I had put in my mind. I thought I would be a millionaire by the time I was 30, or just different visions or dreams that I had. And as I went through my 20s, I would measure my life, and I wasn't anywhere near these goals, and I had no idea how I would get to them. And I started feeling kind of bad, and I didn't feel progress. And one thing I ended up learning or realizing is that I was actually measuring my life and my progress based on situational measurements, like outside measurements, things I can't really always control. It's like, okay, I can't instantly make a lot more money, or I can't instantly have a lot more freedom to travel, especially right now, right? I can't actually do that. So what I started to realize was I had spent the decade of my 20s focusing on all the things most people are typically focusing on, like trying to earn a living, I built businesses. I tried to buy, I bought a house, and tried to acquire things. So I really focused my energy and all my efforts, mostly during the decade of my 20s, into having and doing and having. So what did I need to be doing to have the things I wanted, right? If I wanted freedom to travel, or I wanted a happy family, or I wanted this, I wanted that, I saw the things my friends were doing and having. And so I would really just sort of measuring my life and doing and having. But here's what I wasn't doing. You guys see this photo, right? It's a sculptor with clay. Well, I was not asking myself at all, who was I becoming? Who did I want to become? And if I had somebody specifically kind of in mind of who I wanted to become, how exactly would I get there? How would I do that? Can I actually craft myself? Could I be the clay and the potter at the same time? Is it possible? And this was kind of a new idea for me at the time, and I didn't really start until my 30s to think about trying to decide who I wanted to become and how could I craft myself more intentionally into the type of person that I wanted to be in order to live the life that I wanted. And so I would urge all of you to ask that question. It's like, who are you becoming? And can you take more personal ownership of that? All right. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But so taking ownership of your own learning and growth is really what I'm all about. This has become my personal mission because I've realized that there's so much happiness and reward in feeling the progress of growing yourself toward who you want to become. Okay. But owning your own growth can be really overwhelming. It can be really scary because we don't really know where to start. When we go to school, there's kind of a path, right? And people just tell you what to do. They tell you what to learn. But when that stops, you don't really have anybody there to tell you what to be learning or who you should be becoming. And maybe some people have their opinions about those things. But if you start to decide who you want to become in the future, who you want to kind of grow yourself into in the future, then it's really hard to know how to do that or where to start. And I remember that feeling. It's like, I know I'm not really that happy with who I am right now. And I know I want to change who I am. I know I have more potential than this. And I know I can live a bigger and better life than this, but I didn't really know where to start. Well, there's a simple method. And this method is that if you just simply do this, find map makers and then find out who did they learn from. All right. So what I mean by this is, and this is what I've basically been doing for the last 10 plus years, I started to realize that success in life is much more about having a vision and then seeing the world, seeing yourself become kind of closer to who you wanted to become. And you can feel the feeling of growing and getting more confident and learning and getting better at things. That success is more about becoming than it is about doing and having. And the doing and the having will catch up if you just focus on who you're becoming. And you can actually really be in control of the growth and the progress of who you're becoming, no matter what your resources are, no matter what your situation in life is. You can actually focus on just growing yourself, and then actually your resources will grow behind you. That they'll kind of catch up as time goes by. So what I started doing was using map makers. And what I mean by a map maker is that so we're actually living in my opinion, and this is it's why I'm actually really I want to say to all the younger people out there that might be listening right now, it's like, I think you are so lucky. I think I'm lucky. I think everybody who's alive and has cognitive ability right now on this planet, and I will add the caveat, and has some kind of access to the internet, right? Even if you have to fight kind of hard for it, even if you have to work to get to a place where there's internet, like, as long as we have, and especially if you understand English, you have an advantage on all of history, because we live in the best period of time on the planet when it comes to the potential to learn from the best minds in the world. Okay, we have direct access to an unlimited number of mentors and all the smartest people in the world who have learned how to live. We have access to them. Okay, and so a map maker, in my mind, is a person that you see this person and you're like, wow, the way this person is thinking and feeling, like the energy, the way I see them living their lives, the way I see them talking and helping other people and learning and growing. And like, it's not about the money, and it's just my opinion. Like, who cares what kind of car they drive, right? It's about, are they living an amazing, fulfilled life where they just seem happy, right? And the way they think and feel and behave and interact with other people in the world and the relationships that they have, that this person is in some ways more the way I want to be than I am, right? And so this is a map maker. This is someone who can show you the way to the future self that you want to be. And all you have to do is plug in to just kind of one map maker. So I'm going to give you a list of names later. I hope you guys are maybe willing to take notes or a screen capture of this list, and just go Google these names and watch a YouTube video just go through the list. Watch a YouTube video from each of these people until you find somebody where you're like, oh my gosh, like that person like speaks to me, and their stories and their energy, and like this person feels like I understand what they're saying and I can learn from them. and then just go plug into that person's world and figure out who they've been learning from, who their map makers were that helped them craft themselves into the person they are now. And this is how you can turn yourself into anybody you want. And then you can also just synthesize from lots of different people, right? So don't just go learn from one person, but find maybe one person. That person will lead you like a web to all the people they met that they learned from. Okay, so I'll give you that list in a bit. Again, the good news is that the world is full of mentors and you have access to all of them for free, right? This is just reality. Like, we have access to them. I love living in 2021 because I can learn from anyone. And if anything, I just get kind of overwhelmed with running out of time to learn from all the people I want to learn from, you know? And so if you guys feel that way, then what I'm really suggesting is take more ownership of your own growth, and let's not resist the reality. Let's say, whoa, the reality is actually great, is that I can go out and turn myself into anybody I want if I just decide to take ownership of adulting, right? Instead of saying, it sucks, because no, it's actually amazing. It's amazing. We have this world, and yeah, it's kind of scary, and yeah, you don't know how to navigate it yet, but actually that's the beauty of it. Okay. Now, here's something I learned in my late 30s, and I wish I learned it sooner. I realized one day that all the things that were making me the happiest in my life, all of the experiences and the times in my life where I was the happiest with how much I was growing and learning, were on the backside of something scary. So after something difficult in my life, or something I was really resisting or afraid of, or kind of I didn't want it to happen, I didn't want to deal with it, that when I really did deal with it, when I had to just deal with it, right, that was when I learned and grew the most. Examples would be opportunities to speak in public. It used to scare me so much to get asked to speak, an opportunity or a request to deliver a speech or do a training, or anything like that, where you're standing in front of people. You've got this real fear of being judged, or what if I'm not good enough? Just this stuff in the back of our minds. There's lots of examples like that in life, where there are opportunities that are presented to us where we could do something, but we're not comfortable with it, right? And so our natural inclination as humans is to kind of just move away or avoid those things that make us uncomfortable, because we like to be comfortable. Comfortable is safe. Comfortable feels safe, right? But here's the thing. You guys remember what I was saying about progress, right? If you want to sustain a feeling of progress, if you want to keep feeling better and better and better about yourself, and learn how to navigate this world to the point where adulting is just easy and it's fun, then the trick, beyond just the idea I said earlier of, it's kind of like they go together. If you listen to all the people on the planet that you admire the most, and you really listen to their stories, I think what you're going to find as a pattern, if you look for it, is that people who have grown the most have just simply leaned into the things that scare them the fastest and the most often. And what I realized was, oh my gosh, like the things that make me feel the best about myself are the ones that I'm the scaredest, that I'm the most afraid of. And so, as long as it's not actually threatening my life, if it's not a gun in my face, or a lion, or a fire, or a speeding bus with no brakes, of course you jump out of the way if there's a bus going to run you over. So some things you should be afraid of and you should run away from, but really very few. The majority of the things that make us feel uncomfortable are actually exactly where we would grow the most if we just go straight toward them and stop resisting and trying to avoid them. Again, I'll just use public speaking for an example. I joined an organization called Toastmasters about 6 years ago. And here in the Philippines, there are a lot of clubs. There's like 30 of them in Cebu, and there's probably 50 or 60, I don't know how many in Manila. And there are just a lot of these clubs, which are public speaking clubs called Toastmasters. And there are usually 15 to 30 people in the clubs. And you join, and every maybe 2 weeks, twice a month, you have a meeting, and you volunteer or you schedule yourself to deliver a speech. And you do this kind of regularly. And then sometimes you deliver speeches where you didn't plan them, they're impromptu. And you get a quote, and you have to just give a 2-minute speech that you didn't plan. And it's really hard, and it's definitely scary. and it makes you feel very uncomfortable. But what I've noticed is with myself and a lot of other people that I've kind of coached and helped is that by leaning in and doing these scary things over and over and over again, in fact, the faster you do them, the more often you do them, you start to feel unbelievably good about yourself because they're like, oh my God, the fear is starting to melt away. I'm getting better. I like the way I feel when I feel more competent. I feel like I can get my ideas out to other people. I don't feel scared of what they think about me anymore. I actually see that they're listening to me and I'm somehow affecting them. And it's just one of the most amazing ways that you can do something scary on purpose and feel the fear. And maybe you're not good at first, but you just keep doing it anyway. And you get feedback and you learn. And you're like, okay, I didn't do so well on this thing and I got to learn this. And you start getting better. You get data and feedback from yourself and other people. And there's magic on the other side of everything that scares you, as long as it's not really going to threaten your life, right? So start looking around your life and figuring out what are the conversations that you're scared of? What are the opportunities to meet new people that you're not leveraging? You're not taking advantage of all these opportunities around you where you could meet somebody new. And I mean, how many people in your life right now could you reach out to, right? And this just example, listen to your emotions when I say this. How many people do you actually know their names? You've met them before. You know, maybe it's a friend of a friend, or let's see, maybe somebody you really look up to, like a business owner or an influencer or somebody that you could actually reach out to and say, hey, you're someone that I really respect. I think I could learn a lot from you. Would you be willing to just get coffee with me for 1 hour, just meet up and just have a conversation and tell me some things about how you became who you are and give me some tips on life and let's just connect. Like I would really appreciate that. Do you know how many people would say yes? Almost, if you said it like that, 99%. Like everybody would do that because humans who are further along in their journey love helping other humans who are not as far along in their journey. Like it makes us feel amazing. So you could really do this, but I don't know how many people on this webinar will really go do it, but I challenge you to try because it's scary. And just when I say that to you, you're like, your brain is already concocting. I can just hear what's going on in your mind. You're just saying all the reasons why you can't. You're just like, oh yeah, but that. You can't envision doing it, but I swear to you, you can. Anyone can. Absolutely anyone could do this. You could go a little out of your comfort zone. There's somebody that you kind of are intimidated by, that you look up to, and you could actually reach out to them and ask them just to, it doesn't have to be coffee. It could be a video conference if you don't have the ability to meet for coffee right now, right? But that has been one of the ways I've learned more than anything, is just by trying to surround myself with people that I wanted to be more like. And there's so many opportunities in your life to do scary things. You just don't notice that you're actually moving away from them. You're actually telling yourself why you can't do them. You're not even considering them seriously. And I really challenge you, look for what makes you uncomfortable, because comfort, it's the enemy. And the weird thing is, everybody's actually building their lives around comfort. We're trying to make enough money so we can build a comfortable life. And then what do? We just kind of spend our lives watching Netflix. And honestly, I don't think you're going to be that happy eventually. Like eventually you get really bored with that life. All right. So scary equals happy. All right. Some of my map makers, people I've listened to and who helped me craft myself so far. And I'm by no means done. I'm planning to live more than 100 years, probably 150, maybe 180, maybe 200. I'm not kidding. If you don't believe me, then you can follow the work of David Sinclair. There's actually like a lot of, anyway, won't go off on a tangent, but I've got so much more to learn. But these people have been very influential in crafting my own viewpoint on the world. And I would really urge you to take a screenshot right here and just try to go Google some of these names. I tried to pick a mix. There's so many more people out there that I've learned from, but these people are amazing. And all of them, and if you find any single one of these people who has a story that inspires you, then if you just keep following that person, keep following them, go deeper, go to their YouTube channel, go to their Twitter account, go to their, find a podcast, find podcasts that they've been guests on, and just search, interview with, et cetera, and go deeper with these people and listen to their stories. You will find out who they learned from, because they're going to reference, I read this book, I learned from this person, I heard this person talk, blah, 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 right? So this is, in my opinion, the easiest hack in the world of how to make adulting easier, is go find the people who have mastered the human experience more than you have, and just go plug into their worlds and follow who they follow. All right. Now, I think I'm going through this a little faster than I had planned to. So I hope you guys have some questions for me, because I would love to hear them and respond to what's going on in your minds. But one of the biggest principles that I've learned in the journey is that it's actually the journey itself that is the point. And I was making a mistake for so long, and I didn't realize that I was making this mistake of thinking, because it wasn't a conscious thought. It was just sort of an assumed, it was just in the background all the time, that I was imagining reaching some point in my life where things were just better, easier. Like you get to this pinnacle, you're just got these dreams, and you imagine, like, if I could just get there, if I could just have this, if I could just be in this place with this person, with, have this job, whatever it is. If you've got this, I think we just many times create in our minds this illusion that there's the potential to just be done, and where it's like, oh, it's just easy now, everything's great now. And it's not the way it is. There's no mountaintop to get to. There's no pinnacle to reach. It's just the journey. Because think about this. You can spend so much time and energy thinking about the past, wishing something in the past had been different, feeling guilty about something, regretting something, feeling hurt by something. You can just spend so much time in the past, or maybe missing something that used to be. It's like, oh, I wish it was back like when I was a kid, when things were just easy, whatever it is. Like, you could just spend all this time in the past wishing something was different or missing something. Or you could spend a lot of time in the future in your mind, where you're imagining what you want in the future, and you're hoping for it, and you're dreaming for it, and you're planning for it, and you're working for it, right? And then you can just kind of forget that there is not going to be any point in your entire life when you get to live in the past or the future. You're only ever here. We're only ever in this exact moment. And I spend a lot of my time in the past. No, that's not correct. I spent a lot of my time in the future in the past. What I mean by that is, I used to spend so much energy thinking about what I want for the future that I was just doing a really bad job of being here now in this moment. And now I realize that it's actually the journey that's the fun part. Even when things are hard, even when things don't go the way I plan, it's actually the inner game of trying to figure out, how do I get better at dancing with life? How do I get better at understanding myself and other people and the way the world works better and better and better and better, and tuning myself, tuning the way I live, tuning who I am, so that my experience is better every day, but more than that, so that I can show up in a way that I help other people every day. Because that's actually way more, it's way better to be able to help other people than it is to just help yourself, right? First, you got to help yourself become who you start on the path of becoming somebody you're proud of. But once you kind of get going on that path, then it all becomes about how many other people can you help. And for me, it's all about the journey, right? So give yourself time. Don't expect it all to be the way you want it to be. It's never going to be the way you want it to be. You're never going to get to the point where everything's perfect. You're always going to have a mix of order and chaos. You're going to have some things you can be grateful for, and some things that aren't the way you want them yet. That's the way it is. But if we can focus on the things that we're grateful for and just enjoy the journey and just take it one step at a time and trust and enjoy the process, then we can actually craft ourselves into the kind of people that we can live a life that we really enjoy, that we're really proud of. And I'm going to go back here because I want to highlight something. This guy right here, Hal Elrod, and also Robin Sharma. I grouped them. They remind me of each other for a reason, because these two guys both have written books on morning routines. And as I get toward wrapping this up and really hope that you guys have some questions for me, because I'd rather keep this kind of simple. I'd rather just keep this, not overwhelm you and overload you with lots and lots and lots of ideas, but just keep it really simple. Because, you've got to take the ownership for your own life. I can't tell you every little thing to go do in your life, but I can lead you to some principles, and I can maybe show you a few things that I've learned, and then I can connect you to map makers, and then it's your job to go out there in the world and start learning from people. Right? That's the thing. If you walk away from this taking ownership, more personal ownership of your own growth, that's the magic. Is nobody's going to tell you what to do. Is like, you've got to go find the path that you want to follow, right? But back to morning routines. If I could leave you guys with just sort of one last thought on the process and the journey. If I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self something, there's a few things I would want to say. And by the way, for the sake of time paradoxes, I wouldn't actually do it. Probably a bad idea. But if I did, I think I would just say morning routine, morning routine, morning routine. And I will tell you that it sounds so simple, and it doesn't sound like it could make that much of a difference, but it's the foundation of building yourself into whoever you want to be. Because the only way to build yourself into someone over the long term is you've got to be able to sustain some consistency of habits. You can't learn anything overnight. You can't change yourself overnight. You can't get in better health overnight. Everything happens as a compounding effect of little tiny actions taken sustainably, right? If somebody gets overweight, or somebody gets sick, or somebody gets really in a bad way emotionally, it's usually not because of just one thing. It's because of a bunch of little things. It's habits, the way that we're living. It's stacked up behavior over long periods of time that really gets us in trouble. But also, if we want to create a life that's magical, it's going to be the result of a lot of little actions and behaviors that are consistent and intentional over time, right? And so building habits is the most important part of crafting yourself into the future version of yourself that you want to be. And Robin Sharma wrote the 5 a.m. Club, and Hal Elrod wrote the Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning. And these books are just simple. They're easy to read. You don't even have to read them. You could probably just go to YouTube and type in those book names and learn the principles. But if you just wake up at the same time every morning, 5:30, 5, 6, wake up early if you don't work at night, but find a consistency of sleep and a consistency of waking up, and go run for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Just do some dashing. No matter where you live, you can probably find a way to get some cardio by running every day. It makes your brain work better. It boosts your immune system. It makes you feel happier. It actually boosts your ability to feel happy. And if you haven't done it yet, I can't highly enough recommend meditation. Learning how to ground yourself through breathing and awareness is one of the most powerful things that I've ever learned how to do. In the last 4 or 5 years, I built this habit. And so many of the people that I've learned from who are living in ways that I highly respect say the same thing. And it's not a coincidence. Like, meditation is one of the most powerful habits that I think any human on the planet can build right now. And going back to here, there's some amazing meditations from Alan Watts from back in the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, amazing guy. And Sam Harris has an app called Waking Up that I highly recommend. But most of these people probably have a habit of meditation, because that's just a really powerful way to live a happier life also. So running and meditation consistently in the morning as your foundation for every day, right? Just for getting into the energy state so that you have the ability to start working on crafting who you are. All right. So I will wrap this up by saying that I hope that something I said today will kind of just spark something for you, and that maybe I will have introduced you to someone that you can learn from. You guys are welcome to connect with me and on LinkedIn, or I'm not that active on Instagram yet, but I'm working on it. Feel free to email me if you have any questions or anything. And I love to help people connect to ways of learning. So if there's anything I can do to help, I would love to. But I hope that something I said here today about adulting and the way that I view taking ownership of our own experience, taking ownership of our own growth and learning, that I hope there's some little principle, even if it's just one, and you take a note and you just look at it more than once, you look at it a couple times, you look at it every morning, whatever it is, just like take that. It's not me, it's just maybe a principle or a realization or an insight that you've received today, and just take it with you and reflect on it, because it won't turn into anything if you don't go back to it, right? If you just think about it once and then you don't think about it again, it's not going to make a difference. But if you reflect on it more and you start figuring out how this idea can connect in your life, then you can actually go do something with it, right? But it's really up to you to craft the future you. You're the potter and the clay. So I really believe that the future of humanity rests on each individual person to take ownership of that future crafting of ourselves. We can't expect anybody else to do it for us. And I also think that that's the beauty of life, and that's the thing we should be the most grateful for, because that's the fun, right? The journey is the beautiful part, even though sometimes it's scary. All right. So good luck with all your adulting. And I hope we have some questions. Isabel?
Yes. First of all, thank you for that amazing talk. Even I learned a lot. So if you guys have any questions or feedbacks or reactions, just type them down below, and I'll relate to Sir Eli. So yeah, go type it down. But I actually have questions. And first will be, so you mentioned the internet, and I totally agree that the internet has been an advantage in growing yourself and your development as well. Like, podcasts, social media, even this webinar, you get to hone yourself and really learn a lot. But I would just like to ask, connecting to adulting, in your opinion, how did the internet make an impact to millennial or even Gen Z, the younger ones, the teenagers, the young adults, when it comes to adulting or maturing minds? Has it been easier for teenagers to mature because of the internet, in your perspective?
That's a really interesting question. I'll give you the quick story of my son. He's actually 16, and I've done something really weird with him. I didn't put him in any school. I was homeschooled in the US in the 80s and 90s, and I realized from that experience that all the things that really shaped me were the learnings that I chose. So it was like the things that were taught, not the things that people made me learn, but the things I wanted to learn. But I didn't have the internet back then. I had to sort of go out and learn things, different ways. So all I really wanted for my kids would be for them to love learning, when they're curious, that they would actually do the work to go get information, and that they would learn the process of how to craft themselves into who they want to be. And my son amazes me all the time because he just does this all the time. He does a lot of gaming, so he's a big gamer, and he's playing with his friends. He's on Discord all the time, and we actually game together. He made me buy a game. I'm on a gaming laptop right now because my son made me do that instead of a business laptop. But I really enjoy that. However, he whenever he's not gaming, he's learning. He deep dives into YouTube channels, and he knows so much, Isabel. He could explain to a 12-year-old everything about black holes, and he knows so much about music. He taught himself piano. He blows my mind. He is an avid self-teacher, right? All right. So enough bragging about my son, but it's not me. He did it. It's all him, right? Now, so clearly I think he's an example that that's possible. Does that always happen? I'm not judging, and I'm not going to say what's good or bad, but I do think that access to the internet is up to us what we do with it, right? And so that's what I'm really trying to say here. It's it's our choice to go out and build a filter like you have to build your own filter. You have to decide where are you going to point your focus so that you bring data in that makes you who you want to be. Because if you don't do that on purpose, you're going to have random stuff. You're going to have, who knows? And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it might not be crafting you into who you want to be. If you spend all day on TikTok, right? It might be fun, but it might not be turning you into the person you want to be. So that's the question I would ask is like, okay, who do you want to be in the future, and realize what you plug into your brain is what's going to actually turn you into who you want to be. So it's just up to it's up to us. We have to decide.
Yep, I totally agree as well. Like, I'm just 18 and I'm learning a lot. And if I ask my mom, like, how did you learn this? Like, in my time, I didn't have the internet. I had to do things myself based on tradition and all that. But yeah, right now, it is actually easier for us. And mentioning habits, you mentioned habits a while ago, like meditation and all that. How do you differentiate good habits and bad habits? Like, how do you know if this habit can actually help you in your development, or if this habit is actually making your growth worse?
Also a great question. You could start by always asking the question, like, do I think that this habit is going to help me craft myself into who I'm trying to become? And well, that's not going to be a question you can't even ask that question if you haven't thought about what kind of person you want to become. And I think humans need other humans as examples if we want to try to start making a picture of yourself in the future, right? It's like if I want to reinvent myself, or I want to sort of re-sculpt myself, I really need to look at other people to get ideas. Okay. So first of all, you're using other people to get ideas of kind of how you want to be. Well, then you could also look at those people and say, do any of those people I want to be have those habits? You could Google habits and figure out what are the habits that those people would recommend building. And you can probably find out pretty quickly from there if it's a good or a bad one. Example, I'm pretty sure that if I want to be showing up with the best energy I possibly can every day, I want my brain to work, and I want to live a long time, I probably shouldn't smoke cigarettes. I mean, that one's kind of obvious, right? We know some are just obvious because there's enough science, but I'm not sure which ones you have in mind, but definitely you can Google these things and probably do some research and find out what other people have discovered about how it makes them feel. And then over time, what is it? Does it serve you? Is it serving who you're trying to become? I guess would be the question I would ask. And you have to make your own judgment call, do some research and watch other people.
Yeah, thank you for that. Again, if you have any questions regarding adulting or even habits, you can just comment it down below, and we'll be happy to answer it.
Are you still there, Isabel? It looks like your connection is kind
Okay.
of getting sticky.
Yeah. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, just comment it down below. Any reactions, anything you want to ask Sir Eli, just
Someone,
type them down below.
I just looking at the comments on Facebook, and someone said something about doing things in the past that were embarrassing, and that it can hold you back. Um, and so this is that level of esteem. Thanks for posting that. Yeah, that's the one. Perfect. Did you choose the same one I did, or you just went and found it? That's the one. So I would recommend everybody out there think about the fear of other people's opinions. FOPO. I call it FOPO. And I got this from Michael Gervais, which is he's on that list. But we really go through life letting the fear of other people's opinions hold us back a lot. And it's just up in our own heads. It's not reality. Here's a little tip I want to share with all of you guys. We often are going through life thinking about what other people might be thinking about us, right? We've always got this idea in the back of our mind that somebody has this opinion. It might be your mom. It might be there's like all the people in your world and their opinions of you. Well, you think you kind of know what their opinions of you might be. You think that if I do this, they'll judge me because I did this. They judged me, or they said this one thing, which makes me think they judged me, whatever it is. But I got news for you. And this is true when I say it. You're going to know it's true. People aren't thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. They got other stuff going on. They're on TikTok too, or whatever, right? It's like people aren't sitting around thinking about you. They're not sitting around judging you. You're not the most important thing in their life all the time. They are. They're just, maybe they think about you for a second, and then maybe they do judge you for a minute, whatever. Or maybe they don't even judge you like you think they do, but they're not continually thinking about you. Your brain is just making that story up that they have an opinion. They don't even care. They're just busy with other stuff, right? So this is just our brains making up stories about ourselves, about the world, and about other people thinking stuff about us. It's not even true. And so we often are holding ourselves back because we're afraid somebody will judge us, or afraid somebody won't approve of us. And it's really just, maybe they won't for a minute, but then they're just going to go right back to their lives. They're not going to worry about it all the time, right? So yeah, letting go of the fear of other people's opinions takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And it's not easy to do, but it is one of the things that holds us back the most.
Yeah, I totally agree to what you just said. Like, I heard from a podcast that you're probably focused on being concerned about how you look. But then if you think about it, other people are thinking the same thing. They're also
Precisely.
focused on themselves. So no one really cares about what they think about you. So it's just really better if you move on from the past. And yeah, I really relate to that as well. I have a question actually. How do you
Isabel, you just froze up. You said you have a question and then it froze. I don't know what you were going to say. She's reloading, I think. Saviera, I think is how you say your name. You also said something about too much planning blinds you to the opportunities in the present. I agree with that as well. Sometimes we're so busy thinking about worrying about what might happen in the future that we're not even noticing the opportunities we have in the present. You said, I didn't hear your question, Isabel. What did you say your question was? Are you back? You could type the question in the chat if you're able to hear me, and I could answer from there.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm back now.
You're
But
back.
connecting to the pandemic, I have a question. How do I build, or how will people build their self in this pandemic, since you can't
I'm going to guess she's saying, since you can't, I don't know what she's going to say about can't go out, can't be around other people. You said, how do you build yourself in this pandemic since you can't what? Are you back now? While being stuck at home. Okay. Actually, this is an easy question. Guys, it's such a good opportunity, right? Everything I just said, these people that I'm suggesting you learn from, you don't need to be with them. You don't need to know them personally. This is the magic of the era we live in. The period of time that we're in is that we have access to so many people on the planet that we can learn from if we just go find a few, right? And maybe you won't find anyone from the list I gave you that you'll connect with. I think you will if you try. I really do. But find someone that is really admirable for you, that's somebody that you look at and you're like, wow, I really am amazed by the way this person thinks and the lessons that they've got and the stories that they can share. And it's so cool that so many people on the planet who have great stories to tell you and that you can learn so much from have put the work into their stories being available to you on YouTube and podcasts and so many other places where you can actually read or listen to their stories. You can listen to interviews. I think interviews is a great format. When somebody's asking them a question, you're just a third party invisible observer, and you get to listen to somebody asking them questions, and they tell their stories, and it's like this conversation. And oh my God, our brains just learn really well from that kind of format. So I really recommend check out podcasts that you might want to be able to learn from. And I actually would say that two amazing things, guys, this past year plus, it's a gift. It's a really big gift. And I know you're going to be like, well, what are you talking about, right? So obviously, there's a lot of hard stuff that came with it. There's a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles. And by the way, one of the books I've read in my life that I think is one of the best books I've ever read is called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And I really recommend, he's not on my list, but go check out Ryan Holiday, because The Obstacle is the Way is a great book. But there's a lot of obstacles that came with 2020 and 2021, and the pandemic has made a lot of things harder, right? But there's many really good things about it. Two of the huge ones are, one, millions and millions and millions of people on the planet realized this past year that the way we've been learning doesn't really make any sense. Everybody realized, like, oh my God, what are we doing this for? Why are my kids doing that every day? We're never going to go back to the kind of learning systems that we had before. We're going to make them better and better and better. Finally, we're going to do it faster than we would have ever done without the pandemic. The pandemic is like a big boulder thrown onto a chessboard. You have to put the chessboard back together afterward, right? It's like it's just cleared out a lot. And I'm really grateful for that, because the world needs to change the way we learn. And that's what I'm talking about here today. It's like taking personal ownership of learning, making the realization that all of your future learning can be your choice, can be your ownership, right? You go out into the world, you find the people you want to learn from, and you do the work. It could be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. But now that we have the pandemic, right, we're stuck at home all this time, this is the best opportunity we've ever been given to not be distracted by any commuting, not be distracted by so many hours in a classroom or an office. And so many people are at home. And if you're lucky enough to have internet, even if it's not the greatest internet, at least you have access to learn from whoever you want to learn from. And so I would say the answer to your question, Isabel, is that the way you build yourself is the same. It's just you get to do it more. Like if you're getting what I'm saying, it's like go out, find one person you want to learn from, and start following that person. Listen to everything they put out in the world, and then figure out who they learned from, and go do that again with all the people. And just find somebody that they learned from that you also like, and do it again, and just deep dive. And if they're talking about something you don't understand, go deep dive on that. So we have a huge gift in that we're not distracted, and we have so much more free time, and we have access, right? Even if your access isn't great, even if you have to fight for it, go get enough internet access that you can learn for 10, 15 minutes a day. And I think you're going to be really happy. All right. Do you believe that adulting is the face of the millennial generation? What is the face of? What do you mean by face of? Like, is the identity of? Something like that? All right, maybe this will be our last question.
Yeah.
It's a word that's become popular, but it's not new. The feeling's not new. I felt it. I felt the same feeling, is that I had to face the world. Is it new? I don't think so. It's just a new phrase. But I think we've all had to do it. Is the world more? I think the world feels more chaotic now, and it's not necessarily more chaotic. It's just that we have access to more data. So it's like we have information overload coming all the time, and so it just feels harder to figure out where to start. It's harder to figure out where to focus, because there's so many choices. We just have infinite number of choices of where to focus. And so I'm just going to leave you with this last thought, is that if there's a difference between when I was in my 20s and now when people are in their 20s, and you're like 18, 19, 20, and you're just realizing like you're the one who has to take ownership of your own life. And if there's any difference, it's that young people now who are adulting now, who are figuring it out now, have infinite number of choices, and I didn't. Like, I didn't have so many choices of focus, and it's really hard. Like, it's really confusing. So here's the takeaway from today. The hack to clear out all that mess, is to just stop looking at all that mess and just find one map maker. Just choose one person and just stop looking at everything else for a while and go follow that person for a while and figure out where did they get to be how they are. And that's your trick to weed out all the noise, is that if you want to become a better version of yourself, all you have to do. It's the same as it was 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. It's just now you're not looking for your village elder. You're looking for the best person on the planet, and you can tap into them no matter where they are. That's the difference. And that's the beauty of it. Is like you now have that option to choose from the entire planet of humans which one you want to learn from. But we have to choose, because if you don't choose, you're just going to have noise all the time, and it feels completely chaotic and overwhelming. So I hope that helps. All right. And I think I'm going to wrap it up because I need to go. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sir Eli Harrell, for a very enlightening and engaging talk. Millennials, baby boomers, and Gen X alike have surely matured in different levels. So we also heard about the book you are writing right now entitled Scary Equals Happy. Do you want to give us a teaser of your upcoming book? Or in general, do you have anything to promote? Go ahead.
Right this moment, I don't have anything to promote. I think that book's maybe about halfway written, and I am working on it. I will be working on finishing it this year, so I would love for you guys to check it out. But the theory of the book is kind of what I was talking about today. It's just that humans want to feel constant progress, but the only way to do that is to get out of our comfort zones, because when you're comfortable, you're not growing. That's really all there is to it. And the book is just meant to help people realize that if you build a habit of doing scary things on purpose, you're actually going to just be really, really happy more often, because you feel amazing about who you're becoming. And so go do scary things, but don't tell your parents I told you that, okay?
Yes. For everyone who attended this webinar, first of all, thank you. And all of you can get a digital certificate of your attendance. For sure, you want to get yours. So just head on to our website at www.esme.ph. That's www.esme.ph, or click on the link that we posted in the comment section below. Make your own account and navigate to the title of the webinar that you joined in tonight. Before this webinar comes to a close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn more and increase their knowledge and skills. Just visit our website at www.esme.ph. We offer a wide range of masterclass courses, those of which you enroll in based on whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interests. Once again, thank you so much, Sir Eli Harrell, for joining us on one of the most controversial topics online and in your present society. You have definitely opened doors for us in this millennial world. Thank you, everyone, for adulting with us, and have a great evening.